Blog Talk Radio.
Peace and blessings, everyone. This is the Righteous Headman Marcus St. Kofa Nix. We are so delighted and glad that you decided to tune in to the Conscious Black Business Network radio show once again on this delightful, magnificent, lovely Thursday evening at the hour of 9 o'clock p.m. So for 2 hours this evening, you're going to be rocking with us. We have a wonderful show prepared. We have a special guest, and I don't like to say special guest just simply because the brother that we are going to be speaking with today, the brother that we are going to be engaging in a conversation with today is a brother that is not a guest at all. In fact, he's family. He's doing a lot of wonderful things in the community and for our people. And so soon and very soon you'll get a chance to know more specifically who this brother is here, who we're going to be talking to today. But nevertheless, we're glad that everybody's able to tune in. All right, so get yourself comfortable and situated, okay, because we have a lot that we're going to get into today. This is our Conscious Black Business Network, so we are about empowering our people, especially by way of economics. And so we do understand that we cannot neglect the teachings of our master scholars, those such as Dr. Amos Wilson. And Dr. Amos Wilson says that our economic system grows out of our social system. So with that being said, the economics and the institution building and the businesses and the enterprises and entrepreneurship and all of those things will fall into place. So we have to establish a sense of solidarity amongst each other. Our power resides in our relationships. Our power resides in our relationships. So with that being said, we have to rekindle the trust. We have to rebuild the sense of cooperation. We have to be able to get along. The brothers and the sisters have to be able to get along. They have to be able to not let petty little differences hinder them and serve as a roadblock to being able to be empowered, okay? Our sisters have to be able to get along. Our sisters have to let go of some of those petty little differences and disputes and those things that, get in the way, that light-skinned versus dark-skinned sisters and the jealousy and envy, and the hate. All of those things have to cease. And, our brothers, we have to definitely drop the ego, and we have to definitely, do whatever we have to do so that we can make sure that we move forward as a people. That is absolutely necessary. And Dr. Martin Luther King says intelligence is in the height of the character. So with that being said, it's all about building character. All right, it's all about building character, and that is of the utmost importance. So we have a wonderful show. All right, my name is Brother Sankofa, the Righteous Hitman. All right, and also who will be joining us very soon is Minister Sard and the Sprinkler, also known as the psychosocial spiritual entrepreneur. All right, so as we continue on our show, just some things we want to just put out there to those tuning in, listening, wherever you may be. You can dial 1, okay, to call in, so if you can be able to interact with us, engage with us, and communicate with us. Also, just want to let everybody know that you can also hop on the chat board, okay, and just type in what your thoughts are, what you're thinking. If you have any questions or any comments or remarks, which I'm sure you will have, feel free to just, indicate that, put that down so we can have a healthy social discourse, so we can have a healthy dialogue. But nevertheless, we are definitely in for a treat, most certainly. So relax and enjoy. Also, you can definitely check out our Facebook page, Conscious Black Business Network. Okay, and so on a Facebook page, there's a lot of networking that can take place. Posts of consciousness. Many times we may post random, superficial things, but everything we do must be intentional. Everything we must do must have a purpose. So everything from the posts and what we put out, how we engage and interact with each other, from our mission and what we set out to achieve daily, we have to operate with a sense of purpose. And so our purpose for even us having this Conscious Black Business Network radio show was to highlight the brothers and sisters in the community that are doing the necessary work that has to be done, especially by way of entrepreneurship and business. And so, all of these things have to work simultaneous. So, we have to incorporate our families into our businesses. We have to be able to pass on the generational wealth to our children, for our families and friends and loved ones. We have to build institutions and then teach our children how to sustain those institutions. And so those are some key things that we are about, at the Conscious Black Business Network radio show. And so we're going to be getting into a lot of those different things on our show. So definitely, we're going to have a wonderful show. And so we can just keep it moving, okay? We have a brother who is most certainly a jewel to our community. We have a brother here who is been putting in a lot of work for quite a long time. This brother here is passionate about our people, African people, and from a Pan-African perspective, this brother here is diligently organizing, and so he has a lot of things that are going on in the community. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Minister Asar, okay, and he could chime in and step in, because I know I could say some things as well, but I know he also has some things that he may also want to add in regard to the brother before we bring him up, so that way we can have a positive interaction, a positive exchange. So Minister Asar, are you there, sir? Maybe you possibly can't hear me, Minister Asar. Okay, well, I know he'll join in and chime in, whenever he's able to. But nevertheless, this brother here that I want to present to you all, okay, and some of y'all will be saying, who is this brother? Go ahead and share and introduce the brother. And I'm going to do that momentarily, but I just want to give, those tuning in, listening, just a chance to understand his background and where he's come from. This brother here hails from the Park Heights neighborhood, all right, on Shirley Avenue, all right, where, he was introduced to aggression and criminality and all facets of street survival at an early age, even as early as at the age of 6. Contention within the social economic oppressed neighborhood of Park Heights, would, put him in a situation where, he would be in and out of, the juvenile courts and detention centers and things like that at a young age, and sometime, behind the wall. But nevertheless, everything happens for a reason. And so as his brother, was behind the wall, and if he was, in the system, he started to, his life started to take on a different form, and he started to go through a transformation. And so, from that point, studying, African history and culture and politics and psychology and sociology and world history and many things, this brother emerged. And so this brother here has spent many years organizing in Baltimore. All right, this brother here, has an organization titled Pan-African Liberation Movement. All right, many affectionately refer to this organization as PLM. And under that umbrella, you have UIP, Urban Youth Initiative Project. In addition to that, you have also urban philosophy, all right, which is a concept that this brother here has put into practice and is implemented. This brother is a father, a baba, an organizer, a scholar, a teacher, an author, definitely a warrior, and is on fire for his people. So without further delay, we're going to go ahead and get right into it, family. So we have brother Baba Asif Fatiu, also known by many as Imhotep, who was with us for this evening's show. Brother, can you hear me? Are you on the lines with us today?
Yes, sir, brother.
All right, excellent. We definitely are delighted to have you on the show, and I know that Minister Asar will be chiming in as well too. But But nevertheless, words can't express, what it is that you are doing day in and day out in the community. You are an asset to the community. And, the focal point for the show is African manhood and leadership. African manhood and leadership. And we've done a few shows recently about misleadership, some leaders in our community, and, some things that call to be addressed, some things that have to be, spoke to and whatnot. And so we deemed it necessary to give this show the theme of African manhood and leadership. And I know, Brother Imhotep, you also recently started an initiative, the Revolutionary Call to Action, and you're continuing to produce and continuing to create outlets so that our people can be empowered, especially our brothers. So let's go ahead and get right into it, Brother Imhotep. If you could just, share with those who are tuning in, listening, a little bit about yourself, your background, what led you to be on this path that you're on. I said a little bit, but perhaps you can go a little bit more in depth so that the listeners and those tuning in could have a better idea and understanding of what Baba Imhotep is all about.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. First and foremost, I would like to thank you and, Brother Asar for allowing me this opportunity to come on the show and hopefully engage in some meaningful discourse where we can come to some conclusions, some productive conclusions and results. But in terms of my background, I would say that my background is in African history and African culture. At a very early age, early 20s, I began to study, not just read, but really study the history, study the culture, in search of lessons that could be applied to my life during that time period. Continue to study African history and culture for the same reasons, looking for lessons, because it's the lessons of history that allows us to be clear today. And it's only today's clarity that allows us to move forward victoriously. So history is that one discipline that we can never neglect to engage ourselves in. Organizing is something that I do because I understand organizing it to be a science. It is not something that you just do randomly. You must organize with purpose. You must skillfully plan your moves, your designs, your initiatives. So organizing is something that I carefully study. I take great pride in being able to organize and move and mobilize people. In terms of me, where I'm at now, everything that I do is guided by urban philosophy, which is a system of thought, analysis, and behavior, rooted in the best of African history and culture, orientated to today's time period. Urban philosophy pulls from all that is Africa. Urban philosophy is that instinctive, natural rebelliousness that's inherent in the African man and woman. So my approach is to tap into that, to bring that to the surface so that we can begin to harness that and direct it. So that's pretty much what it is. There's the initiatives that I do in terms of the Revolutionary Call to Action group online, that's about manhood development. The African Awareness and Critical Thinking study class is where we study, but the reason why there's a study class, and this ties into your topic, we speak about manhood and leadership, what has happened within the last 25 years or so. People who have come into leadership have come into leadership primarily through popularity.
Okay.
Because what has happened with the African community is that quality is not what we seek anymore. It's not quality, it's style. So people who have come to realize that all they have to do is present themselves and market themselves a certain way to become popular, and then the populace accepts that as a standard of leadership. And that's the reason why the confusion exists the way that it exists. So our study class is designed to produce leaders, because a leader has to be studied. It's through the studies that individuals learn who they are and learn how to be. It's through our studies that we come to know who we are historically. It's through our studies that we come to understand what the African man should be doing today, because our studies allow us to examine historical models so that we may emulate today. See, in order for anybody or in order for any person to perform a task, to execute a discipline, it has to be a precedent. It has to be something you can look at, something you can study to give you an indication as to what you should or should not be doing. We take it for granted that maleness alone accounts for manhood. Maleness alone doesn't account for manhood. Manhood is something above and beyond maleness. Maleness is necessary, but it doesn't begin and stop with maleness. Manhood is above and beyond maleness because manhood, in one sense, is an office, and as such, it should be executed a specific way. And the African man, each and every time, patterns himself and orientates himself in alignment with the conditions of that time. It's the conditions of the time that informs the African man as to what he or she, the African man as to what he should be doing, and the African woman as to what she should be doing. So we can't talk about the man without the woman, so you got to hit the woman a little bit and then keep on moving with the man. But that's more so what I would like to just put out there for now as we move forward. But I'd like to just, lay the ground with that there.
Sure. That you said is powerful, and we're definitely gonna get more deep into it momentarily. I know that I have Brother Kevin, the Black Kohilith, who has also joined us as well too. So Brother Kevin, most certainly glad to have you, a part of the show as well as usual. Brother Imhotep, I know that there's a lot of people perhaps who know you and love you and stand right with you with what it is that you profess and what it is that you teach. Why don't you share with those that are tuning in, listening, a little bit about your organization? You can share a little bit about your initiatives and what you have going on so people can understand what you have taking place right now. Because Bob Imhotep, like I know, we have a lot of talkers, but you actually are not just talking it, but you're walking it, you're doing the work. So if you could just speak to some of these institutions that you're in the process of building with your people, some of the organization that you head, and anything else that you would care to share in terms of what you have going on, so the people could know a little bit more specifically as to what you have and what you're in the process of implementing at this time.
Well, I guess I can start from the back and try to move forward. And I guess start in the back, I would say I just recently completed last week my second book, and at the moment it's being produced and it should be ready for purchase next month, which is September. And that book is Urban Philosophy, Politics and Urban Struggle. I released my first book last year, which is Urban Philosophy, Thought and Behavior System. So urban philosophy is that what we use, PLM, it directs and it guides what we do and how we do what we do. Our way is the way of urban philosophy. The urban philosopher, for us, is the ideal individual, meaning that this particular individual is ideal in the sense that he or she understands African culture to a degree that the behavior have been rectified as such that we are operating from high morals and standing principles. We are allowing something to govern us. We are allowing rules and regulations to dictate our interaction with our people, so we can always be upstanding, because in the final analysis, ma'at rules. So the ideal person, the urban philosopher, is the man or woman of ma'at. Is the man or woman that's understanding duality. It's the man or woman that understands that all things are governed by law and order, and all things are connected. So we use urban philosophy to move. So those two books are currently my two books. I'm currently working on the third book, which should be ready for production next September. And that'll be Urban Philosophy, New African Revolutionary Vanguard. In terms of some of our initiatives, UYIP, Urban Youth Initiative Project, which is our youth organization, which has several different programs. I'll just highlight two. The first one we have is African History Self-Development course, and that program focused on children ages 6 to 12, and it deals with African history and culture, character development, physical fitness, social emotional management, conflict resolution, leadership. Focusing that area for those children. And then we also have, with the UIP, we have for our young children, those that's 13, 14, and 15. If it's a male, we have the Zulu Brotherhood. If it's a female, we have the Nzinga Sisterhood. And we have these sisterhoods in place and these brotherhoods in place so we can get into the therapeutic aspects of developing our young people, because our young people are carrying a lot of stuff on their psyche, and we had to deal with that. There's a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, there's a lot of scars, a lot of letdowns, a lot of low self-esteem, and things of that nature. So within the brotherhood, within the sisterhood, is where we can get into our therapeutic work and build these young people up from the inside out, for the most part. We also have Watoto Development Center. That's a child development center dealing with children ages 6 months to 5 years of age, and we teach several things there. They learn in terms of language. They learn sign language. They learn Spanish. They learn Kiswahili. And, currently we are working on their traditional language, what we might say is, you call it Ebonics, you call it broken English, whatever you want to call it, but the language we currently use that allow us to speak to one another efficiently, because I don't believe in measuring our language against Europeans. I think that's a great mistake, and I think it's dangerous when we always deal with each other in such a manner to try to make it seem like that what we say and how we say what we say is inferior to what Europeans say. Europeans speak where the Europeans speak, and we speak how we speak. Our way of speaking is our way of speaking, and it works for us. I'm clear. I understand the necessity to understand the way the Europeans speak if you're going to go amongst the Europeans and be in their world. It only makes sense to understand their language. But my position is that to the best of our ability, we should build institutions, establish systems and processes to minimize being in their world for the most part. So that's part of the work that we do. So at this Watoto Development Center, we deal with those languages. We give them, they get school age ready by age 4. So at age 4, they're learning addition. They're learning subtraction. They're learning all these things that traditional schools are waiting until they're in the kindergarten to get. We make sure they get all that at our development center.
Okay.
The overall theme of the organization, PLM, Pan-African Movement, primary focus is the social, political, economic empowerment of African people, sovereignty, the reconsolidation of Africa. That's long term. And in the meantime, how do we move towards that? We move towards that by building businesses, building things that would allow us to develop resources, because we need resources to wage this battle. We can't wage this battle without resources. I put a post on Facebook about 2 weeks ago and I said that poverty and impoverishment is not a testament of commitment to the struggle. And what I meant by that is that I've noticed that a lot of people that say they are in the struggle and they call themselves African Center, Black Pan-Africanist, none of them have an economic agenda. They're so quick to holler, well, I'm trying to tear capitalism down. They got it all twisted in their fanaticism that they don't focus on economic development. So you find that most people that's in the movement, most people that's in the cause, you find them always broke. You find them always impoverished. You find them always needing a handout because they understand it backwards. You know, if we want to be as successful as people doing this work, we have to factor in our initiatives within our agenda, economic development. Because the only way you're going to combat power is with power. And regardless of what you think about these Europeans, you can hate them. These Europeans have a sense of power. If they didn't have power, they could not sustain and maintain your oppression. It takes power to do that. It takes power to invade a land, to capture its people, to incarcerate them, transport them across the world, subjugate them, and then enslave them. It takes power to do that. It takes power to maintain oppression. It takes power to sustain oppression. And the only way you're going to combat it, the only way you're going to overturn it, is with power. And part of that power is economic.
Well, I need you to stay right there, Brother Imhotep, because you are speaking truth to power right now, and you said economics, and that's what our show is focusing on. And you know, one of the things that I noticed, Brother Imhotep, is you know, when it comes to organizations, you know, like you said, resources. We have to put ourselves in a position to have power. You know, we don't have any more time for any more organizations crying broke. We don't have any more time for trying to operate as an organization, you know, trying to empower our people. Okay, when you know, we don't have what we need to be able to go to war and to go to battle. You know, you mentioned systems. You mentioned some key things. So my next question for you, or if you could just speak economics, what does that look like for our people on an organizational level? How can we implement it? What does that look like? Where do we start? Where do we begin with this economics? Because economics is absolutely of the utmost of a priority. What does this look like, Imhotep? Can you speak to that, this economic situation that you speak of and exacting that power?
I would say this. On an organizational level, if African organizations want to develop economics, they have to put themselves in a position to create and develop businesses and institutions. They have to begin to provide services that's going to allow them to, in turn, generate finances. One of the ways this can be done is that you have to build your organization as such that the organization is disciplined, the organization is competent. It has to be disciplined, and it has to be competent. And from there, you can begin to build up a membership. And from building up the membership, build a social system within your organization. Get your people to understand the necessity of being social. We socialize. We socialize the people and reorientate them to themselves. So if you have an organization, you got 20 or 30 people, then you can create a process of paying dues. Everyone paying dues. So if you got 20 people and you just say, listen, dues is going to be $40 a month. That's $800 a month for the organization. So they can get $800 a month, and you save that for an entire year. You know, you got what, $7,200? You know, something to that degree, right? So that's what it's about for the most part. So that's what we got to start thinking about. We got to think about stuff like that. You got to think about $9,600 they would have. They could take that $9,600. That's just for 1 year. They could do something with it, or they could hold it. You know, for me personally, I would suggest that they held on to it. and keep building the membership and keep building the people, but yet with the $9,600, they're able to do small and minimal things. They're able to move the organization. They're able to show their self-sufficiency on a small scale. Because how can you talk about sovereignty and independence if your organization is impoverished? If you can't even build on a small microscopic level some type of self-sufficient organization, how you going to do it on a macroscopic level? You just talking to be talking because it sounds good. You got to demonstrate. You got to demonstrate your capacity as an organization to be self-sufficient. Because at that level, you begin to understand something about how to run it. So that's one way you do a dues process. But if you keep on building these people and you keep building their sociality and stuff like that and get them to truly understand and forge them together, most of your membership works. Some of them going to be working, having jobs and things like that. Get them to commit a lump sum when they get their income taxes. Get them to commit a lump sum. Whatever it may be, bring everybody together. Have a plan, have a visual plan of what you want to achieve and things of that nature. How you moving, what the organizations are going to do. So all these things got to be built into it. Then try to get people to commit a lump sum, and then take this money at a certain time for, I guess you could say, 36 months. After 36 months, you could be pretty much okay. I think after 36 months, used to be like, used to be close to $30,000. That's only from your dues if you got 20 members, not including what you may have gotten for 2 years in lump sum. So if you got everybody to give, tax time, if everyone just gave $500, 20 people, it's 10 G's. All right, boom.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So it's easy.
Absolutely.
And I'm not speaking from theory, right? See, everything I write in my books and everything I talk about and everything all my suggestions, all what I'm doing. So I know it can work. So for the naysayer that's sitting back, I'm going to crush that right now. I'm not speaking about what I think can happen. I'm telling you what I've already done. I'm telling you what I've done and how easy it is. And the reason why Marcus Garvey was so successful, we keep on talking about Marcus Garvey, the reason he was successful is because he got people to give into his visions. That's where his money came from. His money came from black people. And that's what we got to come to understand. We have to get people and get them in the organization and re-socialize them and get them to give to the organization. And then the organization need to do something productive with the finances.
Right.
That's how you begin. That's how you begin to build your internal economic structure.
Absolutely. Minister Asar, it sounds like that you were trying to chime in. Glad that you could join us, my brother. Minister Asar, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Peace, brother Imhotep. Brother, I've been trying to get on to have technical difficulties. I've been listening. Powerful start. I heard you say, hopefully we can have some discourse that can be beneficial to people. I would beg to say that you've already dropped a lot of jewels. I'm hoping you guys can hear me loud and clear. It's an honor having you on the show, brother. You definitely talk about some things that our people definitely need to hear about. And one of the things you just said a few moments ago was very key. And when you said these are not things that you're just talking about, these are things that you've implemented, tried, tested, reviewed, and you're doing it again. And you see that you're building this bulletproof or this system that can take us or take our people to a higher level. So I think there's a difference. And I think earlier on in the show you were talking about, a lot of times this leadership. And we want to talk about the leadership. We definitely want to talk about the leadership because this show is not just called leadership in black men. I want to correct that. This show is about the proper leadership in the Afrocentric or African-centric community. So I want to correct that just to say that it is not a male or female type of thing. But what we do want to talk about, we do want to get in this show and talk about what proper leadership looks like. In fact, one of the reasons why we brought you here, brought you on the show, because we think you are a shining example of what proper leadership should demonstrate. A very disciplined brother, a brother who's very organized, a brother who thinks out before he does a thing. A brother who has an organization where, has them moving, and centering themselves around each other. So not just talking, also economic development is a part of their plan. So it's not just one facet. In fact, I'm looking at the chat board. There's someone named on the chat board, and they're talking about, economics should be, the basis or so on and so forth. So let me ask you, Brother Imhotep, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about economics, and where do you fit this in on the puzzle? Because I know there's people who say we just definitely have to get in on the economic standpoint. Then there's other people who say we have to deal with the moral, spiritual issues. Then we have people that say we got to deal with the cultural issue, so on and so forth. And, I have my own view on that. I will not say what my view is already, but I would like to hear you talk about what does this thing look like? What is this liberation? What does this liberation process look like to you?
Oh, man, that's an excellent question. Unfortunately, what most people don't understand, most people don't grasp, is that you cannot expedite liberation. You can't expedite it. It's a process, and that process has to move the way that it moves. And I understand that many of us are frustrated and we're tired. So a lot of times we're trying to figure out what's going to move expeditiously. We're trying to do it that way. What I come to realize in the way that I organize and the work that I do is that everything got to start at the basis. You can't skip stages. Yes, we need economics, but economics alone is not going to do it because black people black people not broke. Black people have money. We've always had money. We've had community businesses and associations and organizations, but the reason we don't have those things today because for the most part, we didn't have our minds all the way together. We didn't have that together. And because we didn't have our minds all the way together, it pretty much facilitated, the destruction of these internal economic infrastructures that black people had. So what I like to say and what I like to think is that we got to, in one sense, do it simultaneously, but at the same time, we most definitely got to focus a lot of energy on making sure that black people, African people, come into themselves and think as African people. That can't be neglected. The history and the culture can't be neglected. We can't get around that. We can't say, well, we don't need that. We need to understand who we are. We need to understand how we have historically interacted with one another. Once we get that together and we begin to understand who we are and our behavior get a little bit better, it makes it easier for us to mobilize people together, and it makes it easier for us to utilize the resources of one another to push ourselves further and advance as a people. But we have to think about, our psychosocial, our historical, our culture, and our spiritual. Those factors cannot be neglected.
Brother Imhotep, since you mentioned this, the chat board has been lit up by a user named Pianki. Pianki says this. Pianki says, leave the morals, history, spirit to someone else. He says, he or she says, leave that morals, history, spirit to someone else. You can't do nothing without income. And and basically, I'll chime in on this if you allow me to, just a little bit, just to kind of do it from a micro, macro type of view. And I realized, Brother Imhotep, during my economic time, I've been doing business for some time now, and I know we have conversations a lot. And the thing that I always try to press upon people is that money was a solution. I was young. I was 20-something. I had a bunch of people working for me, and they made thousands of dollars a week. They had the option to make thousands of dollars a week. Sometimes because their mind wasn't right, they couldn't make the money, but the opportunity was there. But even those who made the money, once they made the money, they started doing stupid things with the money. So from a microcosmic view, I say that, I definitely know that money alone will not fix the problem. I tried that, done it, did it, and had a group of men who had the opportunity to make multiple $1,000 a week, and they squandered the money. They did ill things with the money. They didn't come together to do anything with the money. So Bianchi saying, "Nah, leave that history, leave that moral stuff, leave that to someone else, brother." He says, "Look, you can't do nothing without income." So what do you got to say about that?
I would say that, like I said early on, whoever he is, I guess he feel like he's entitled to what he wanted to say. But like I say, I don't speak from what I think or what I believe. I speak from what I know and what I do. I'm very successful at doing the things that I'm doing. It's because that I made sure that people had to understand who they were. Like I said early on, black people always had businesses. It's not new to us. You know what I'm saying? The corner stores in these neighborhoods, they were our corner stores. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Garvey was very successful. But look at the UNIA today. There's nowhere near Marcus Garvey, right? The stuff that he had is gone. Why? Because majority of the people he had around him, their minds wasn't right. And since their minds wasn't right, that's the result of it. You know what I'm saying? The Nation of Islam, soon Elijah died and his son got in, he started selling things off. So the mind has to be right, and African people can't get around culture. Furthermore, the brother must not really study history. You know what I'm saying? Because to understand history, you understand that in the absence of a culture, people are dead. And the reason why we're in the conditions we are in today is not because we lack money. African people have money. It's mismanagement of money. And we mismanage our money. Why? Because we are poorly socialized. And why are we poorly socialized? Because we are deculturated. That's why. You know what I'm saying? We have been acculturated. And because we have been acculturated, our socialization is ill. And since our socialization is ill, it enables us to mismanage our finances, and I mean mismanage in the sense that we don't understand the necessity of spending and doing business with one another. And we don't do business with each other because how we have been socialized. And socialization is the result of culture. So you can't get around culture.
That's right.
You can't get around culture. When we don't study, we think our problem is money. It's not money. It's not the problem. It's not money. It's how we utilize our money, and it's the decisions that we make because we have been socialized and we have been orientated to operate against our best interests. That's why we're in the conditions we are in. And until we understand that right there, we're going to stay in these conditions. And we're the only people who don't realize that. You know what I'm saying? We don't realize that our success is going to come from us coming together and working together. It's going to come from that. And we can only come together and work together when we come to understand that we're the same. And that's cultural. We got to see ourselves as being the same. We got to relate to one another the same. That's going to take a cultural revolution in and of itself to pull that off, to bring that about. So, economics, like I said, I'm not saying we don't need economics. We need economics, but at the same time, I know that you can't skip the stage in the phase of making sure that people have a good sense of who they are. Because if you skip that stage and you bring a bunch of these dead-minded Negroes together, right, they're going to destroy them businesses.
Absolutely.
That's what's going to happen. They're going to destroy those businesses. They're going to sell them off. They're going to bring the enemy inside of them. They're going to run them poorly. They're going to do all of that if you skip the stage of making sure people learn who they are and understand how African people should be doing business with African people. If we skip that, if you neglect those stages, your businesses are doomed anyway.
Oh, right. So I'm listening. Thank you, Brother Imhotep. I totally agree, that the businesses are doomed. We need I always say, if you come from an African-centered point of view, I don't see how you said in the first, how one would say that that money will solve all of our problems, because we realize from an African-centered point of view that, we don't dichotomize anything. We understand that everything is connected to everything, which in turn, affects everything. So, we can't just say it's one thing, but what we do understand is culture, encapsulate everything, and that includes what we call money. So, so we don't leave out money. Money is a part of that culture, and it's exchange. Money is nothing more than an exchange instrument, and culture dictates what that exchange instrument is and how you spend it, who you spend it with, what you buy with it, all those type of things. So I totally agree. But we we have a caller. I think this number is 314. That may be either Detroit or no, it's in the Midwest somewhere. Let's see what this caller has to call in to say. So let me see if I can get him up. I'm having a little. Okay, hold on. All right, caller from the 314. Please state your name, where you're calling from, and how you doing.
Well, I'm calling from the Midwest. My name is Pianki.
Right.
And I still, and I'd say,
Pianki,
yes.
Pianki. You calling from the Midwest? What cities you calling from, brother?
St. Louis. Right now.
St. Louis. All right.
And
go ahead.
And Black America, that what we call Black America, because all blacks in America is not the same. They're United States citizens. Their culture is that of America and various subcultures thereof. And their socioeconomic position in this country reveals that their problem is economics and the lack to extract from this system, or should I say this market, as we see other ethnic groups do. Now, I'm not saying that none do, because they do, but too many don't. And it's not, blacks and no other group is going to come together based on no particular affirmity. No nation does that. No group of people do that. They come together because of ideas and come together because of plans that they want to carry out. How are you going to have, I've been listening to this for a long time. You're talking about changing the attitude of children, of people. Well, you don't control schools. And you're not going to do it in the public schools. Whites are not going to give your children the skills that they need to compete with theirs. So the only way that I can see that happen, from my experience, is you got to have your own schools. And you can't have your teachers on welfare and work for cash under the table. It takes money. It takes money. Them Arabs that control your gas marks, them Asians that's in your community, are there for one thing and one thing only. They're not there to make friends. They come there to extract the wealth out of your communities. And just because you have a store, wait a minute, let me finish this. Just because you have a store, blacks are not going to shop at your store because you black. They will shop at your store because you have quality and you have it at a better price. And you can't buy from Asians wholesale expecting them to give you family prices, whereas you can compete against their cousins that's already doing what you're attempting to do in your own backyard. And that's it.
So, Brother Imhotep, you have a response to Brother Pianki calling from St. Louis?
Yes. Peace, brother. How you doing? Well, anyway, I can appreciate your analysis. Yes, I appreciate your analysis because I see the angle that you're coming from, and I don't disagree with what you just explained. I think the only difference in what I'm saying is, like, case in point, you said that the children need to be in your own schools, and that's the point I made at the very beginning of the show. I don't know if you was listening, but that's what I was saying. I was saying that I'm not speaking from what I think. Like you said that you've been listening to this for years and stuff. See, my dialogue tonight is not based on what I think. My dialogue is based on what I'm doing. That's what I said early on. So we have our own child development center. It's ran by my wife and her sister and the people that we teach in my study class. So we didn't put an ad in the newspaper and hire anybody. So the people that deal with our children are the ones that we specifically teach inside of our study class that's based on our curriculum, and the one that run our child development center are our people. So we got children from ages of 6 months to 5 years of age. They are our children. We have in there. So we teach them what we want them to learn, what we want them to understand. I am the executive director of a youth organization, my own youth organization. I have programs that's inside of Baltimore City schools, that I'm running there. Not something that the city schools design. It's my program. It's my curriculum, an urban life skill class set up inside the resource center, because this is the way that I positioned it for the principal. So it sits inside the school curriculum as a resource class. No one comes in there and tells me what I can't do, what I can't say. They get nothing but the truth when they come to my class. The entire school is an elementary school. So this is the stuff that I'm actually doing what I'm talking about. So I'm not speaking about what I think like most people do. This is what I'm doing. And when I speak about the history and the culture, what have allowed me to be successful and to bring these people together and to get these people to work on one accord and to get these people to move in one area, we got a liberated zone we're moving into. What enabled me to pull all this off was when I got people to rally around indigenous African culture. I'm not talking about what we got over here in the USA. I'm not talking about that. You know, I'm talking about the indigenous stuff that we had prior to. Those indigenous ways of being, those indigenous ways of seeing, perceiving, and interfacing with reality. Once I got people to understand that, to mobilize and rally around that, and move towards implementing that, it enabled us to begin this process. Now, is it large? No, it's not large. But is it successful? It's very successful, and it's moving forward. So when I bring forth my message, that's a message that I'm bringing forth because it's based in experience. You know, it's not based on, me just sitting around just reading some books, watching YouTube, and I'm thinking that's what it is. I've been doing this thing for 22 years. So I understand how to organize very well. I'm very good at organizing and bringing people together, and I'm very good at educating people because that's what I do. I educate people, and I understand the politics behind all that we do, and we can't get around the fact that until we understand some basic things about who we are, we're going to always have our struggles. And, yes, you need finances and stuff. You need money in a capitalistic society. I'm not that naive to think that we don't need money. We do need it in a capitalistic society. I get that piece there because there's a means to exchange. I get that. But more so, my focus is not just to try to bring in or usher in black capitalism. That's not what I'm more so advocating. I'm not advocating black capitalism. I'm advocating, some degree of self-sufficiency, and we have to start that amongst ourselves. And we have to begin to build.
I commend you for having what you have, and I appreciate it. But I will tell you this. If you're in Baltimore public schools, they will take you out of there when they get ready. In Kansas City, they had the ACE schools, the African Centered Education, which started back in the 1990s, 1994. They had schools up until 2 years ago, chick schools, that didn't have metal detector, and they ranked in the top 6 academically performing in the state of Missouri. But guess what? They closed them because they was public schools. They was, quote-unquote, their school. So I've seen attempts from Detroit to Chicago to put African-centered programs in public schools. Detroit had, in every school, they had a curriculum that was labeled African-centered in every paradigm. But now they don't exist no more. Malcolm X Academy would outperform the schools in Detroit suburbs. Paul Robeson, Marcus Garvey, and so on and so on. Those schools are no more because you don't control those buildings. Those are somebody else's buildings. And I commend you for trying to do that, but it's going to be short-lived because they will take them back. And one other thing, too. Look at the Council of Independent Black Institutions. Now, let me get this, and I'm going to let you go back. I don't want to hog the program. The Council of Independent Black Institution came out of the Black Power movement when blacks out in California University, had sit-ins in the dean's office saying that they want black studies and they want black professors teaching them. Out of that came the Council of Independent Black Institutions, just had about 80 schools across the country. They down to about 6 now, even less than that. So until you own your own and you're able to properly fund it and support it, then you're just going to be working on borrowed time. And like I said before, I commend you for what you're doing, but I'm just here to tell you, what ultimately can happen.
All right, brothers. Brother Imhotep, before you answer that, I just want to let the callers of the listening audience know that you can push 1 if you want to get in on the conversation. Push 1 if you want to get in on the conversation. So, Brother Imhotep, turn it back over to you, sir.
Yes, I'm going to speak to the larger population because I most definitely don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm saying based on how the Brother Pionsky interpreted it. I guess his experiences allowed him to have this particular interpretation. And at the top of the show, the first thing we spoke about was the need for institutions. So me speaking about the program inside the schools, that's just me trying to share with them something we're doing, but I'm not banking on the school system. The idea is to build our own, and that's the reason why I spoke about, why Total Development Center, which is ours, and our youth organization, which is ours. So we understand that what I've learned over the years and engaging in this right here is that it seems like the different type of blows that we sustain as the people, it causes us not to see our ability to be effective. We tend to become our worst enemies a lot of times and thinking that we can't do things and we can't get ahead. So it makes it hard for us to recognize how to get ahead. And one of the things I come to realize just for watching and studying Marcus Garvey, you have to mobilize people. When you look at the churches, look at the mega church. The mega churches are what they are primarily because they have a large congregation, and that large congregation gives a certain amount of money to that church on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. That's the fundamental principle. Dr. Chancellor Williams, in his book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, he said we always talking about what we don't have. He said, but our greatest resource is our people. Our greatest resource is our people. It's how you organize the people. And I think most of us don't realize that organizing people is a science. It's just not something anybody can do. And we need to allow those amongst us best qualified to organize our people, to bring our people together. Because once you bring people together, don't got to be 100,000 people, don't got to be 1 million people, don't got to be 22 million people. Don't have to be that. If you can bring a significant amount of people together and get them to understand who they are as African people, you can begin a process of economic empowerment instantly, just by getting people to understand who they are. And black people will support black people because they're black people when you get them the right mindset. Granted, people that look black and don't think black, I might say, well, boom, I'm not gonna go to you because I can go over here and get it cheaper. Granted, I understand that, but we're not talking about that. And that's what we got to come to understand. We focus too much on the weaknesses amongst us, and we magnify our weaknesses as if our weaknesses are the norm for us. Our weaknesses are not our norm. Our weaknesses in reality is an anomaly of African people. African people are collective. We are communal. We understand that. We have a sense of that. We may have been scarred. We may have been let down. We may be a little reluctant. But once you assure people and reassure people that you have created a safe space for them, a safe place for them, then you will see African people socialize. You'll see African people come together. You will see them build that solidarity necessary to facilitate the type of economic empowerment and the economic advancement that will be the engine to our sovereignty.
Thank you, Brother Imhotep, and Brother Pianki. Thank you for your questioning and calling in and speaking with our guest today, and Brother Imhotep for answering them in such a honorable manner. So we have another caller calling from the last 4 digits is 1226. Caller, state your name, where you're calling from, and state your question or comment.
Peace and blessings. This is Brother King from Baltimore, King Teasdale.
Peace, brother.
Peace, Brother King.
Peace.
Peace. I was listening to the conversation just now, and it was a bit discouraging because the brother makes me see that we are pre-programmed to disagree. And Assis is doing a great job here in Baltimore. And he understands that there are systems put in place to keep us down. Assis is doing what is necessary with what he has, different level. And the thing that has happened against us in the past only makes us stronger to combat what comes in the future. The worst mindset is the one that believes we are already defeated. And that's what the brother before us just now kind of brings out of my spirit. And we need to encourage one another, especially when we already know we have the power within us to make things happen. And that's one of the things I like about my brother Assis, because he already identifies that. And from the struggles that he's already been through, he's already a conqueror. And he already knows that we have conquerors in our community. And he is bringing to their awareness that they are conquerors.
There's no doubt. Thanks, brother.
Brother, I'm there for you.
All right. Thank you, Brother King. And most definitely, that's what we try to do on this show, if I could just follow up on that, Brother King. Thanks for your comment. And I totally agree with you about Brother Imhotep. I see Fatiu, a brother who definitely isn't really worried, not really trying to focus in on, the negative, not trying to focus in on, white. We know that white supremacy exists, but we're not going to allow this. This is what some of the stuff that he said. But we're not going to keep talking about that. We're going to talk about the plan that we're going to utilize to, win the war. So
yes.
and that's exactly what we want to talk about here on the Conscious Black Business Network, because we always talk about what we don't own. We always talk about what we don't have. And sometimes we have this very, we kind of key in on the negative things versus the positive things that's actually happening in our communities. And I think it's very, it's very pivotal that we actually, key in on our successes, because one who never keys on their success will have no reason to move forward. It's like when someone never pats you on your back and say you did a good job, you have no reason to move forward. So we want to uplift, the works that Brother Imhotep is doing, and the whole family for PLM, UIP, and just everybody around, the world, around the country, all the black people that are doing some things. And we say this so much. We say we don't have anything, we don't own anything, and we don't do this. And I want to ask people, what measuring stick are you using when you say we don't own anything? What are you measuring? Are you saying we don't have what they have, or you saying we don't have anything? You understand? So I think we have to be clear. And once you say that we don't have anything, we don't own anything, what kind of hope or what kind of affirmation or building up process is that for our children? Say we don't own anything, when I know I can walk down and I can go to PLM right now and I can get some drug factories. I can send my child to their youth programs. I can go and buy a shirt. I can go and buy some books, and I can actually do a lot of other things just in one organization alone. So we have to uplift and shed light on these positives and stop talking about what we don't have, talk about what we do have, and just think about that. We talk about what we don't have so much. We really are people that think we don't have something. We don't have anything. In fact, I'm led to talk about, Sojourner Douglas College here right now, right? And the reason why I want to talk about Sojourner Douglas College is because all the brothers and sisters in the conscious community around the world, we don't have a college or an institution. We don't have this. We don't have that. And I say, well, we do have one called Sojourner. And in fact, it teaches the African-centered philosophy and so on and so forth. Maybe if people would talk about what we do have, Sojourner would be facing what they're facing right now. Because maybe if we did uplift and talk about and shed light on that which we do have, then more of us would have supported it. Because we really don't think we have anything if we keep speaking that we don't have anything. So, brother, I thank you for calling. You're always a very positive brother every time I see you. Thanks for doing what you do. And, brother, I see that Brother Imhotep or brother, you have any other words you want to say?
I'm appreciating the show. Thank you so very much. And it's about accentuating the positive and eliminating the negative.
I say, brother, thank you for calling in.
My pleasure.
Thanks, brother.
Brother Sankofa.
Yes, sir.
All right, so do you have any announcements before we're on that other end? We don't have any music. We don't have anything that, because something's going on with the technology. It's telling me to do some things that I just can't do at this hour. But do you have anything, any announcements and things you want to get out of the way before we go into this next hour?
Well, I do want to let everybody know that the Winkler Investor Group is going to be providing a webinar, okay, a boot camp training, which is going to be taking place on Friday, September 18th. Okay, that's Friday, September 18th. And so for more information, you can contact 443-333-2970. You can also, the email is winklerinvestorgroup@gmail.com, but it's going to be taking place on Facebook, right? So you could go to Facebook.com/Winkler Investor Group, and then you could scroll down, and then you can go to online training, and then you can be able to take care of your registration and take care of that and get that squared away. But nevertheless, as we always do, Winkler Investor Group is going to be, having another upcoming webinar. So we just want to put that out there to everybody so that they can stay posted and stay prepared. It's going to be taking place at 8 o'clock, so it's going to be going from 8 o'clock to 10 p.m. So make sure that you come on out. And and when I say come out, it's an online webinar. So I mean, you don't have to come out physically, but make sure that you come out and prepare yourself to get online and learn more about how to invest in real estate and how to build some real wealth and some real economics.
All right. Well, Brother Imhotep, I have you on the line, and we're doing our announcements. I thought that maybe it would be a good time while we're doing our announcements to talk a little bit about Pan-African liberation, Pan-African liberation solidarity. If you could, Pan-African Solidarity Day, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yes, sir, no doubt. Pan-African Day of Solidarity is going to be September the 12th. Right now, we're in the process of having to change the location. Some things came up, so we had to change our location. But we will most definitely be posted on Facebook real soon, so everyone can be up to date on those details. The following day, September 13th, be our Pan-African Symposium. We have Dr. Mama Marimba, Dr. Nana Tisha Newton, Dr. Vaketi Amin. They will all be in the house doing a powerful panel discussion, as well as 3 individualized presentations apiece.
Okay. Do you have any other announcements, Brother Imhotep, that you would like to share with us? I'll ask the marketplace, which will be happening on September 26th, 3939 Lexington Road, from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. We encourage everyone to come out to be a part of that. Okay. So the title of the show, again, talking about proper leadership in the African-centered community. We have a lot of, we often can talk about what is not the proper leadership or what is misleadership in the African-centered community or in the black community in general. So if you care to talk about it, just like to ask you, what does, if you can, leadership or proper leadership in the African-centered community, what does that look like?
That's a good question. Let's do it this way. Let's say effective. Let's think about effective leadership, rather, because when we say proper, then we might get into people trying to think that we're trying to say that as this standardized leader, but we can speak about what is effective. I like to think in terms of, first and foremost, I think when we think about African leadership, it's always factor in morality, ethics, and integrity. So African leader, man or woman, should be someone that has good morals. They should be ethical when it comes to their people, African people. Integrity should be tight. It should be unquestionable. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't make mistakes, but I believe there's a difference between making a mistake and intentionally doing something that's inappropriate. I think that when we get into doing things that are inappropriate and making a decision to do those things, then we should be held accountable for that. Because that's an indication that our leadership haven't matured to where it should mature to. So it has to be morality, it has to be ethics, it has to be integrity, and it has to be someone that's honest and humble, and someone that's going to stand on the forefront and stand with his or her people. Someone that's going to be in the midst of his people, not someone that feels like he or she is above, better, and beyond reproach. An effective leader is a servant of his or her people. An effective leader is transparent for his or her people. An effective leader is an ongoing student. It's someone who acknowledges that he or she has weaknesses and they're forever working on those weaknesses. They don't present themselves or position themselves as if they are flawless and as if they are unblemished. You know? And in addition to that, they would have to be someone that understands a great deal of African culture. They would have to understand some aspects of African culture because they're saying they want to be leaders of African people. They would have to be spiritually sound, psychologically equipped, emotionally stable, politically astute, socially competent, and educationally together. All of that is necessary.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, brother. Just to, switch over in this second hour, I know you have a book. It's called Urban Philosophy. And we'll ask you some questions about that. But before I go there, in a book, Malefe Kidi Asante, he speaks about the need for a liberation language. And when I look at you, I look at you as a person who studies. And in your studies, you study it to the degree that you want to actualize that which our predecessors have put down. And not only actualize what our predecessors have put down, I also look at you as one who wants to further what our predecessors or our elders, our babas and mamas have put down. So, I'm reading on page 42 of Afrocentricity. He said, Dr. Malefe Kidi Asante says, language is a central instrument of social cohesion. Social cohesion is the fundamental element of liberation. He goes on to say that a revolutionary language must not be befuddled. It cannot be allowed to confuse. Critics must actively pursue the clarification of public language when they believe it is designed to whiten the issues. We know the science and rhetoric that science and rhetoric are parallel systems of epistemology. Rhetoric is the art, and art is way of knowing as science. So now, just think about that. I've delved into urban philosophy, your book, and I know you talk about urban philosophy. You even get to the point where you speak about why you spell the words the way that you spell them, and how you have taken creative authorship or so on to redefine the language. And it's important that we redefine language for us. So if you could tell us about urban philosophy, why you came up with it. You spoke about it a little earlier. You said it is a tool that you utilize inside the organization. But if you could just talk about urban philosophy, because I think it's a brilliant book. I think it's a good book for more than just your organization, but for people in general. So if you can talk about, what it is and why you came up with this book, Urban Philosophy, and what do you envision it doing for, envision it being, and how it can. I believe that you have a greater vision. So if you can just share the vision with us.
Yes, the vision behind urban philosophy actually, it grew out of the mindset of analyzing that what had happened, what I noticed that had happened, what I see is happening, and I spoke about it early on, is that people are into style, not quality. They're not thinking about quality anymore, because what has happened is that most people have been reduced to a level of mediocrity. So mediocrity is the highest we go. And I know that as African people, we are beyond mediocrity. And so I felt a need to begin to conceptualize a thought process that could bring about a new way of thinking and an enhanced way of thinking to advance us as people. So ultimately, urban philosophy speaks to the African people's ability to redefine their reality from an African standpoint, but not only redefine and reconceptualize, but at the same time behave in a way that's above and beyond what we define as being normal. See, our behavior has to be so together, so precise, so intact, so full of integrity and morality that we become a distraction to everybody else. That's how we're going to begin this. That's how this evolution is going to start. It's going to start in the behavior. So that's the reason why in the urban philosophy we talk about behavioral rectification as opposed to behavior modification, because we acknowledge and know that to modify something doesn't necessarily mean that it has been improved upon. But when you rectify it, you improve upon it. So it becomes a matter of behavior rectification, because through behavior rectification, we can begin to transform into action and how we interface, and we can begin to build a strong sense of socialization. And out of that socialization is what's going to emerge this new language, this new thought process, which is urban philosophical thought. That's what it's all about, to get us to that degree, to get us to that point. So we have the 36 laws and that actually prescribes the thinking, and we have the 360 insights, which serves as the wisdom. We utilize that so we can move and direct.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Brother Montu?
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings. Greetings, everyone.
Peace and blessings, Brother Montu.
All right, how y'all doing? Peace and blessings, Brother Baba. Aziz, I just wanted to really just step in for a second and just pretty much articulate, some words and some candid feelings that I initially had when I initially, was introduced to Brother Imhotep, also known as Baba Aziz. I want to say I was very impressed with this brother. I was impressed with his brother's discipline. I was impressed with his brother's determination. And I also was very enthused by his militant stance and his African empowerment, I should say. This brother just has an aura about him that it just really, really is defiant. And when I say defiant, I mean also empowering and defiant. Defiant in the words or in the aspect of anything that isn't righteous or anything that isn't of the African Senate understanding. And so I want to first preface my statement by saying that you are definitely a disciplined and dedicated brother, and anyone who is around you or amongst you, I see that some of those characteristics which you emulate also tend to, in and around the people that you associate with. So I want to first, commend you for all the work you're doing, because I think you're doing a wonderful job. I think you're a very strategic brother in which you have organized even from the toddler to the adult. And it's always, it's, as I look at, what you're doing and the organization that you have, I see you almost have every basis covered. So from that infant, after 6 months, all the way to the Watoto Urban Development Center, all the way to the UIP, all the way to, the ACT study class that you are imposing and bringing a culture of awareness to individuals, and I think that is very crucial and critical. And I think it's a genius concept. I just want to commend you again for your righteousness and, determination that you have in all that you do. And first and foremost, I would like to say that. But I heard you say something very simplistic earlier, and I would like for you to expound on it. It seems simplistic, but I would really like to know, when you say, I heard you say earlier in the you said that you didn't just read, you actually studied. So could you really break down the difference between reading and studying, if you will?
Yes. First, I would like to say I appreciate all your words. They most definitely are encouraging. To give you an analogy, when a person set out to construct a house, it must first lay a foundation. And the foundation is laid a specific way. It can't be lopsided, it can't be leaning, it can't be unsound, because you're not going to be able to erect anything upon it. And if you did erect something upon it, it's going to what? It's going to fall, it's going to sink, it's going to collapse. And I realize that what most people do when they pick up books is that they compare themselves to someone else. That's the first mistake. So they compare themselves to a person who appear to be wise and knowledgeable, and so they want to go read that book that they think is going to give them that knowledge that person has. So what I realize is that you can't do it that way. You have to pay attention to what you're reading, and you have to read in a particular field for a time period to build the foundation. So when I said I studied, I'm saying that I spent time in a particular field. So I didn't just pick up, a Dr. Amos Wilson book, read that, and then you read Dr. Chancellor Williams, then you read Anthony Bryder, then you read Vaccines Are Dangerous, then you read Claude Anderson. That's not going to get it. You have to build the foundation. You got to build a foundation. So I read significantly in the area of African history to become acquainted with it, paying attention to it. When you spend more time reading in that particular area, you begin to develop a sense of a pattern. So you're reading Structure of Black Civilization, you're reading The Black Man of the Nile, you're reading Introduction to African Civilization, you're reading African Glory, you're reading African Origins of Civilization, Myth or Reality. You're reading those books, and then you start seeing, a pattern. So you say, well, bam, this author noted this, and she noted this, and she noted this. So you can extract the pattern. So, well, dang, our ancestors, they behaved like this. Our ancestors thought like this. And you can begin to see what they thought like this, they engaged like this. And that's what you can pull out, because you can begin to find what your ancestors actually were doing when you're studying in a particular area for a time period. So I spent a significant amount of time in reading the history to understand the culture. And then when I did read Amos Wilson, I spent a significant amount of time in reading in that area. So I didn't only read Amos Wilson. I read Frantz Fanon. I read Sterling Stump. I read Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Naeem Akbar. So I read everybody, for the most part, who was classified as an African psychologist or an African psychiatrist. So what? So I can see a pattern in thinking. So I can see similarity in concepts and things of that nature. So then what? You can extract the lessons. That's studying, you know what I'm saying? You're paying attention, you're breaking it down, you're focusing, you're trying to connect, you're trying to make sense of. You're not reading, definitely reading to pass time. That's what I meant.
I appreciate that question, Brother Montu, and Brother Imhotep. I appreciate the response. Now, I want you to talk about that a little bit more, because what I notice when one comes into a certain level of information, especially if they've been, lied to or feel like they've been lied to all their life, from the European point of view, when we get this urge to just want to read everything, it's like, and I often tell people, take a deep breath, slow down, and basically don't jump all over the place. Don't read all these different books, right? But I suggest, so what are you passionate about, right? So what are you passionate about in this? So become more like let's say a practitioner or a specialist. And if this is your area, so if you're passionate about children, right, and our development, don't be all over in all these different places. Kind of focus there for a minute. But, so I'm just going to ask you the question. So when someone is so zealous, And the question is that when people first come into a level of consciousness, they ask you these questions. The one of the most often, one of the questions I hear often is, what book do you suggest? So could you tell me, what books do you suggest to people who are newly awakened, if I can say? And how do you suggest they go about that studying? Mm-hmm.
I would have to be able to ask them several different questions, because the books, depending on the author, each author writes different. Case in point, like everyone will recommend Dr. Ben, but Dr. Ben is not an easy writer, so I don't recommend Dr. Ben. But most people say Dr. Ben, that's because of the popularity of Dr. Ben. But Dr. Ben is not the best place to start a person. Nor is the destruction of black civilization. It's not the best place to start a person. Because of the way the books are written. So normally I like to talk to people and ask them, like, what have you read? What do you understand? Because based on their answers, then I can better guide them. Because in the final analysis, it's always about that person's development. It's about that person's development and how you're going to meet that person's needs. So you need to know something about them in some sense in terms of background. But just for, argument's sake, you're asking a question. Most of Dr. Naim Akbar books are easily readable books. So if a person is just trying to come into some information, they need something they want to read that's informative, that's not too thick, it's not intimidating, that's written on a very easy reader level, Dr. Naim Akbar. Other than that, if they want to read something about history, I would suggest that they read Dr. John Henry Clark, African People in World History. It's a little teeny blue book, but it's a very good book. Read that, then go read Dr. Clark's Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust. There's another little small book that's very easy to read. You read that book right there, and then if you want to read something just to give some more information, you can read the Broader File. Because the Broader File breaks down in many different essays. And most people tend to like it because it don't stick on one topic too long, and it allows their, fast-paced mind to stay entertained. So that's probably what I would say.
All right. Thank you, Brother Hope. That we're going to take a small break and come back on the other side. All right, welcome back. So, Brother Imhotep, again, thank you for being a part of our show. If you could, before we go any further, talk to the guests, to the listening audience, and just give them any way they can communicate with you, the best way to communicate with you, just the different forms. I know you probably have multiple forms, so just share with our listening audience how they can get in contact with you for your book, if they want to book you for lectures, anything that you have that you can add in that regard.
Yes, they can find me on Facebook under my name, Imhotep Fatiu. Just type that in. I'll pop up. You can, send me an inbox or a message. You can find me through YouTube under my name, Imhotep Fatiu, or you can go to my website, www.thefirsturbanphilosopher.com. Go there and you can check out some of my videos, purchase the book. You can read more about me. You can read a little bit more about urban philosophy if you want to acquaint yourself with it to get a better understanding of what it's all about. So you can just hit me through an email. Letter I, F as in Frank, A as in Apple, T as in Tom, I, U as in umbrella, at yahoo.com.
All right. Well, thank you, brother. I think Brother Sankofa has a question for you. Brother Sankofa.
Yes, sir. Brother Imhotep, I think you said a lot of profound things. Speaking on the subject matter of leadership, just knowing how it can be in a position of leadership, and I know you've experienced this, and you and I have had conversations. It's always important to be on point, because those who you lead, those who you set the example for, are always looking. They're studying you. They're looking at you. They're observing you. And it's like, it's unfortunate, but they will try to find fault or look for any little reason to try to find fault in you, or to find a reason to justify them reverting back to some of those behaviors and characteristics that they should, or to try to justify and rationalize them doing something that they shouldn't do. So I said all that to say, discipline. When I think of you, Imhotep, one of the characteristics that comes to mind is discipline, being steadfast. And so could you just, when it comes to leadership, discipline is definitely something that's of the utmost importance. So can you speak to the importance of discipline being a leader, what that looks like, and how you can implement that and put that into practice on a daily basis? Discipline.
Any leader that's seeking to be effective must have discipline. Discipline is very important, and discipline is something that you work on every day. Discipline has to become your behavior. But how is discipline developed? Discipline is developed from understanding. See, understanding allows you to develop discipline, because what you come to understand is that you need to be a particular way to be effective. And that's why study comes in there. And what gets most leaders messed up is that most leaders don't take the time out to develop an educational component that's inextricably tied to their organization, wherein they are actually teaching their membership and their disciples how to be. When you neglect that component, you begin to set yourself up, because people don't come ready-made. People have to be manufactured. I know it sounds harsh when you hear that, but that's the truth. Like, we have to manufacture the types of people we need to aid us in this process. And that's why a disciplined leader has to be able to be an educator. He or she has to understand the necessity of developing some type of educational component, some type of study component that allows him or her to interact with his or her people to help them develop the type of mind, the type of understanding that would aid them in their quest to enhance their discipline. So what happens is that you've got to create this process, and it comes back to socialization. All this has to be created, but it has to first start with the leader. And the leader has to first get him or herself together in terms of getting their mind together. So it has to be a significant amount of time spent with that individual, focusing on developing his mind or her mind. And how are you going to do that? You're going to do your studies. You're going to pay attention to your ancestors. You're going to listen to your ancestors. You're going to get yourself together spiritually. You're going to clean yourself up. You're going to detox. You're going to change the foods that you eat because food affect you. You're going to change how you socialize. You're going to change the places that you frequent. You're going to change these things about yourself. You're going to do all this stuff first so you can be an example, so you can be appropriate. And then you're going to maintain that, and that's your discipline. So the discipline is not to change. The discipline is maintaining the change. That's the discipline, because that's the day-to-day struggle, maintaining the change. But how does that get easy? That gets easier to do when you build a community around you that think as you think, because what they do, they begin to reinforce you. So when they begin to reinforce you, that enables you to maintain the change that you set in motion. That's your discipline.
Absolutely. So Brother Imhotep, are you saying that? So when I hear now, hopefully I don't let me throw words in your mouth, but I gotta put a little spice in it, right? So are you saying that the leaders that I see in the community that's walking around saying I'm a solo brother, that that I don't get down with people, I roll alone, and basically it's really I'm just a teacher. I'm not really a part of the I don't really surround myself around individual other people. I just teach and all these different type of sayings or whatever they want to say. Are you saying that? What do you have to say about that?
I'll say that that's why history is so important, because historically in the African community, you don't find solo leaders. You can't find it. You can't find a solo leader in Africa prior to European invasion. You can't find a solo leader. The kings wasn't solo. The queens wasn't solo. The chiefs weren't run out solo. Even the Jagners weren't solo. The Walimus weren't solo. You always had a community of Bibles, a community of mamas. Where did the solo thing come from? So that's why study becomes so important, because study becomes the thing by which we can measure others against. So I can measure you against the studies. A person can measure me against the studies. When they study, they can measure me against it. And that's what keeps us guarded. So when a person saying they're solo, this lone ranger leader, all I got to do is look to the history and culture. And you don't find that. Even Marcus Garvey wasn't solo. He had folk around him. He just had some bad folk around him. Malcolm X wasn't solo. He had folk around him.
Right. Because I just know, and I just hear someone saying, well, you see, those people brought down Malcolm. Those people brought down Garvey. Those people brought down our leaders. Because I had someone who even said, I'm a teacher, but I'm not a leader. In fact, I'm not a leader because once I turn around, leaders, when I'm thinking I'm leading, and I turn around and everybody left. So so these are the type of things I hear, and I think they're going unquestioned, unchallenged, or and what's up with this thing in the quote unquote conscious community where we believe that we have to be silent, and not, critique or criticize. I'm just wondering if they're reading the same books that I've read, or looking at, history and they even say things like, white people don't say things about each other. Yeah, right, that's lying. That's a lie. You can just look at the political process right now, even if it's an illusion or not. They are going at each other. You understand? So where do our people get this rhetoric from, or this ideology? Where do they get this from that, we just have to go along just to get along? As long as they're black, you just can't say nothing about them. In fact, they ask you, they'll turn around and say, now, if you say something that someone is doing, the people that you're actually helping, will have the nerve to turn around and say, what are you doing? In fact, I may have just fed them the other day. I may have just hired people. They know this. I may have a program going on like, UIP or anything like that. All these things going on, they have the nerve to turn around and say, what are you doing? So, now what's up with that, brother?
I attribute all those types of comments and that way of thinking to a lack of study. And even people might say, well, no, I study. I still say you're not studying because you can't be studying. So that's how I tend to sum that up. Because if we study, because like I said earlier on, to study has to translate into behavior rectification. So if the studies is not improving you, then what good is the studies? And that's what I speak about in urban philosophy, how studies should inform us and subsequently form us. And that's what we got to come to understand. So we should be informed by our studies. And with that informing, there should be a new forming of us. If that's not taking place, then what are you studying for? What are you talking about? How can you tell me you studying? You can't tell me you studying African spirituality, and everything about you is individualized. Individualized in the sense that you dichotomize, you separate, you detached from. You can't tell me you're studying African spirituality and you behave that way. It can't be. It's an impossibility. It's a total impossibility. You can't tell me you're studying anything about Africa and you're afraid of your own people. You don't understand how to be communal. It's an impossibility. You can't tell me you're studying African people and you don't want to be collective. It's impossible. So don't tell me you're studying just because you're picking these books up and you're reading these books. But don't tell me you're studying because your behavior does not attest to that. It says something different. So like I say, we always can use the studies, man, to measure anything against. We can measure it against the history. The history doesn't lie. Our history is what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you for that, brother. We have a caller that raised their hand. The last four digits is 0189. Caller, are you on the line? Peace and power. Please state your name and where you're calling from, and please address our guest.
Yeah, what's going on, brothers? This is Al from Baltimore.
Peace,
how y'all doing?
All right.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to call in and say, I like the show. It's very constructive. I just want to tell y'all brothers to keep doing what y'all doing. Don't stop. Y'all really connecting with me. Because y'all concepts and the people that y'all study. Like you just name dropped Chancellor Williams, and Amos Wilson, and Neely Fuller, and Garvey. And y'all talking about economic empowerment, African history. And power. I admire that. It's a real constructive thing that y'all brothers is doing right now and giving that information, and just keep doing y'all thing.
Nope.
And
brother.
And I just like to say, y'all put y'all joints on YouTube, like y'all got like a channel or something.
Yes, you can find. You can go, brother. You can go first.
No, I was just asking. It was a broad question, so I was just wondering, were you talking about everyone on the call? Can you be more specific? But go ahead, brother Imhotep.
Like these shows right now, like y'all, I was just saying, it's so powerful that I thought y'all was like recording them and then putting them on YouTube, so like I can go back and listen to it and really catch, like sometimes you might miss a concept or I might miss the show or whatever. I was just saying, like put them on YouTube, so like this could be spread for future generations. You know what I'm saying? Like some videos I've been coming back like 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying archive what y'all doing because it's constructive and y'all really dropping knowledge and giving information and just what I'm saying, like maximize the opportunity that we got right now, fellas.
Absolutely. So brother Imhotep, go ahead and show him how you. Tell him where he can go in and check more information about you, sir. Yes, my brother Al. Good checking in. But if you go to YouTube, you can type my name in, Imhotep, Imhotep, last name Fatiu, Fatiu. You type that name in, and you'll get all my videos, and that'll come up. And then from there,
you can, go to my page and stuff like that. So, yes, there are things on YouTube, on Facebook. I have a website, www.the1st urban urban philosopher philosopher.com. If you go there, the first urbanphilosopher.com, you can check everything out that I'm doing. Got my videos on there, my book is on there, and I got another book that's coming out in September. And I also run a study class every Sunday right here in Baltimore, Maryland. 3939 Vice Town Road. Every Sunday at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., we study African history and culture. That's what we study. 3939 Vice Town Road.
That's what it is. You said the first urbanphilosopher.com, and then Sunday, 3939 Rice Town, 6 to 9. My man, I appreciate that, man. Like I said, keep doing what y'all doing, and definitely I'm gonna check y'all out, man, and spread the word.
All right.
All right, brother.
All right, thank you, brother. And most definitely, thank you for calling in, brother. And stay tuned, and you can check us out. You can actually go to this channel here, and you can actually follow us on this on the channel at the Conscious Black Business Network. If you look it up on Blog Talk Radio, you can look at all of our latest shows, and you can also go to Facebook, and you can check out all our shows, and because we repost them there on Facebook. By asking to join the group is an exclusive group called the Conscious Black Business Network. It's online, Conscious Black Business Network. Just look for that group and then request membership, and we'll be looking for you, Al. Okay. So
that's what it is. Conscious Black Business Network.
Yes, and you can tune into all the shows that we aired thus far. All
right, I appreciate it, man. Y'all have a good night.
Not a problem. Thank you, sir. All righty. So, Brother Imhotep, I know we're coming to a close. So I would like to ask you a question. This question is more general, because I know that many times we go on shows and and sometimes we don't ask the right questions sometimes, or whatever, or maybe you just thought the person should have asked another question. So, or maybe we just left something out, something that you just feel inspired to say. Just, do you have something that you're inspired to say that hasn't already been touched on in the closing comments, sir?
We pretty much touched on a whole lot that's very important, but I would like to add that the type of businesses that we have to build has to be businesses that focuses on collective. There got to be some type of collective bargaining going on, taking place. Now, my reasoning behind that is that we have to develop strong capital. To develop strong capital, when we build strong and large businesses. Marcus Garvey thought on a large scale. We need to think on a large scale. Our businesses need to be large scale oriented. We need to think that way. We need to focus it that way. And with that, that's going to allow us to be able to not only employ our people, but it's going to allow us to be able to acquire other necessary resources to propel us forward. But in the meantime, while we are developing, we must also think in terms of security. We don't hear a lot about security. We don't talk a lot about security. We got to come to realize that whatever we achieve, whatever gains made, whatever victories obtained, we will have to secure that. We will have to protect them. We have to think about that. We have to think about that. And lastly, we got to begin to think about generational wealth. We got to think about how we're going to build in one generation and transfer it to another generation. Because what we have to do is we have to give each generation a good footing. See, the generation that come behind you and I, it shouldn't be starting over. Like right. When you enter this, you had to start somewhere, right? You're supposed to have been picking up from somewhere. When I entered this, I started from somewhere. And there's no reason why we should have been starting we children after the 50s. We're children after the 60s and the 70s. So why are we starting? That's because we didn't think about generational wealth. We didn't think about transferring our gains and successes and victories in one generation to another generation. We got to think that way. And the only way you can do that is through institutions. You got to build some type of institutional pipeline that's going to allow you to successfully transfer what you achieved and succeed in one generation and transfer it to another generation. And that's going to allow that generation to not start anything but to build upon what we have already started. That's how we win.
All right. Well, thank you, brother. Imhotep Fatiu, look him up, check him out. You got all his information. Powerful, powerful show. We definitely appreciate the brother taking out time in his busy schedule because he is crisscrossing the country, so he may be in your town very soon. But in fact, brother Imhotep, what's your next lectures at around the country?
Yeah, good question. I almost forgot that. I'll be in Houston, Texas this Saturday, August 29th. I'll be in Houston, Texas this Saturday, August 29th. There is a Facebook page up with all the necessary information on it. It's called Brutal Truth, Obligations of Blackness. I'll be talking about the obligations that we are born with as a result of being African people. We are obligated to behave and conduct ourselves a specific way. There's no way around it. You, me, all of us, we have specific obligations by right of being African. And I'm going to talk about that. August 29th, Houston, Texas, Brutal Truth, Obligations of Blackness.
Brother Sankofa, before we close out, any closing comments, announcements, anything like that, sir? We got 7 minutes before we go off the air.
Sure thing, my brother. Well, there's a few announcements. First and foremost, the Winkler Investor Group. The Winkler Investor Group presents a revolutionary real estate investing online workshop. So the Winkler Investor Group, yourself, Minister Asar, myself, Brother Kevin, and many others will be putting on a webinar, which is going to be taking place on Friday, September 18th, 2015, from 8 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. It's a free workshop online, and in order to be able to register, just hop on Facebook.com/Winkler Investor Group, or you can search Winkler Investor Group LLC. Once again, that's on Facebook, so make sure that you register for that because it's definitely something that you don't want to miss. So that's the Winkler Investor Group. Also, as we've been saying, and I'll say it one more time, make sure that you continue to tune in from 9 to 11 p.m. each and every Thursday, such as, today, to make sure that you check out our Blog Talk radio show, Conscious Black Business Network, okay, and also join our Facebook page. And then also, I'd be remiss if I didn't shed light on the Temple of New African Thought, the Temple of New African Thought organization that we're a part of. This upcoming Sunday, we'll be having our fellowship in Karamu starting at 11 o'clock a.m., and we're located at 23 East North Avenue, Suite L3, okay, in Baltimore, and that's on the lower level. And we're in for a special treat coming up on Sunday because we have Jamil Rashad Winkler, Minister Asar's youngest son, going to be rendering a message of empowerment entitled "Why Do We Do These Things?" addressing inappropriate behavior amongst our youth in our community. So make sure that you come out for that. Once again, it's going to be at 11 o'clock a.m., located at 23 East North Avenue, Suite L3, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202. So make sure that you stay posted with all the things going on. Brother Imhotep also was mentioned to you about Pan-African Solidarity Day. So get with him, what he has going on in his organization, and also get with us what we have going on as well, too, because we definitely have to continue to support each other and keep a sense of solidarity at an all-time high. So that's what's going on. Minutes also, I'll turn it back over to you, my brother.
Well, thank you, brothers. And I like to say, Brother Imhotep is a very powerful brother, but maybe next time to bring this on, but, we're definitely doing some things here in Baltimore, and Brother Imhotep is a visionary. One of the things we're doing here, just to touch on a little bit, is, the MOU that this brother has actually envisioned, and it's his vision, and we actually want to be a great provision or the provision or a provision in that process of unifying the organizations. Good job of getting off on a good start. And this is just just this token, just this show right here today shows that Black organizations do and can work together for a common cause, and we work with Brother Imhotep on many levels, In fact, Brother Imhotep is a vizier for, our Temple New African Thought. Not only is he helping his organization, he's also acting as a vizier consultant to help us get our thing up and running, going, moving smoothly. So look, this brother he's a powerful brother, humble brother, and is not an isolated individual or exclusive to his group. We got some good things going here in Baltimore, family, and you'll just see it's coming soon. It's going to be happening. And one of the things Brother Imhotep said before we close, he said that, look, brothers and sisters, we have to build institutions. We have to build institutions. We need to build large institutions. In fact, when he said that, I've been saying for the last year or 2 years now that, we have to think bigger. We have to think greater. We have to think larger. We have to think larger, but we got to start somewhere smaller. One of the problems I see is that we think so large, we don't start at a foundation. That's why we have people running around talking about building schools on college campuses, when they haven't even started one in the storefront. What I'm saying is we have to think large, but we have to start somewhere. Don't shoot for, like you have to take a path to the stars, but we have to think larger. And the thing that I think keeps us from thinking larger is this mental slavery. This, we call it mental slavery typology. So we definitely have to think larger. Harriet Tubman, I have to say, she said she freed thousands of slaves. They could have freed more if they only knew they were slaves. If we only know, if we only understood that our minds have been, chained to only think to a certain level. We have to break these chains. These chains don't just stop when you learn that Africans were great. You have to get to the level to realize that you are great and that you can accomplish what you will, as Marcus Garvey said. So, brothers and sisters, in closing, as we always close out, Marcus Garvey said, poverty is a hellish state to be in. It is no virtue. It is a crime to be poor. It's to be hungry without hope of medicine. To be tired and sleepy without a place to lay one's head, to be naked without hope of clothing, to be despised and comfortless, to be poor is to be a fit subject for crime and hell. So, brothers and sisters, let's do better than that. Let's do what we got to do to keep moving. Let's do what we have to do to create this generational wealth that Brother Imhotep spoke about. And, brothers and sisters, with that, we say peace and power. Until next week, same time, same place. We'll see you again. Peace and power.
Peace.
Peace and power, family.
Peace.
If you believe in yourself and you believe what you do and you believe that it's true, then you can rise. If you believe in yourself and you believe you can do what you say you can do, then you can rise.
give me tandazo, give me tandazo. Say gin, 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 give me tandazo. Say gin, 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 give me tandazo. Give me tandazo.